Transfer student experience.
The transfer student experience.
The transfer student experience.
Yeah, Loyola Marymount. You really did your research, huh? I'm impressed.
You're a sophomore.
I am.
You're doing business administration.
Yes.
I couldn't find any interesting work experience, so I think I would sort of invite you to tell me a little bit more about any side projects or things that you're doing extracurricular.
Well, I guess right now, so like the last couple of weeks has really been club recruitment heavy here at USC. And one of my main reasons for transferring to USC was actually the quality of student organizations and how they actually have goals. They have career development programs, mentorship programs you can get involved with. So that's something I've really been focusing in. And I've joined quite a few clubs that have already immediately proven significantly beneficial. And I see them working well for the rest of my time here at USC.
For sure. And your internships?
Internships, yeah. So last summer I was going to be working in England. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit, so I wasn't able to travel over there. But I worked virtually for an international accounting firm based in England, close to London, and worked on the marketing department of that.
And so coming from that, obviously, you've got an interest in marketing. What are you hoping that the classes you'll take in the business school will do for you?
Funny part about that. So with my experience in marketing from that internship, I kind of decided that it wasn't really for me.
Okay.
I'm more focused on accounting or finance because I feel that marketing is obviously a great skill and an excellent career path, but I find that a lot of the skills regarding marketing, you just learn completely on the job. And so much of it is a relatively soft skill compared to something like accounting. So when I'm in school, when I'm in class, I really want to learn hard and technical things that can transfer into any role that I pursue. And so far, I'm in a financial accounting class right now. So I think that I'm learning great industry skills in that. But other than that, it's just general education and general business classes.
What are some classes, obviously, I mean, we're in week 3, but what are some classes that you've sort of been finding challenging, but at the same time, you sort of know that they'll be rewarding?
Going back to my financial accounting class, like definitely, this is my first real accounting class. So learning the balance sheets is something new to me. So it takes a little more time, but definitely rewarding in terms of the knowledge I'll gain from that already when I'm in my student organizations talking to professionals. Again, about the student organizations, like that has been excellent. Just being able to talk to professionals already. At my old school, that is just something that happens once a year at a career fair. And now every week I can talk to 4 or 5 professionals. But yeah, already I know more information from that class. I get more ammunition, I guess, to talk about what I want to do and what they're doing at their firms.
What was the most difficult part of ramping up as a transfer for you?
Definitely the sudden attack that was club recruitment, because I knew I really wanted to get involved in that, and I did, but I didn't think it would be like the second week. That's when all the involvement fairs are. And then so many of the clubs have long application processes, 2 rounds of interviews. As someone who's just settling into their classes and settling into USC in general, that's quite a sudden attack that you really need to manage your time for.
And I mean, you had a taste of the college experience before the zombie apocalypse. What's one thing that you miss pre-COVID?
Just people being on campus, honestly. The level of camaraderie you feel with your classmates when you're actually on campus is just a different level than you feel on a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, it's that face-to-face contact that you need.
Definitely. Now, the people you're talking to are very specialized in terms of you're sharing interests because you're going to the same types of events on Zoom. But on campus, everyone can be on campus for a different reason. Maybe some person's just grabbing something from the bookstore. Some person's going to the history class or something, history major class or something. And you just meet more different types of people and get a better feel of the whole school rather than just a particular college or interest path.
Gotcha. And so sometimes when we transfer into college, I know myself included, experienced challenges in how the university and student organizations communicated resources. I mean, I know it took me a while to find friends, student organizations, and just like general stuff like career centers and all the resources that the university has. It took them a long time for me to find those. So what communication challenges did you face or are you facing at USC? And what would you wish that TSC as a student organization could have made more clear for you to help you out?
Got it. I like that question. I would say it is just the sheer bombardment of emails that we're getting. Like, we're just getting so many things from Handshake, Weekly Career Source, Leventhal events, Marshall events, so many different things, just so many opportunities. And TSC could really help students learn how to organize their email accounts, I guess, because coming from my old school, I never got this amount of emails that are related to like things that could really help you. So just organizing these and just narrowing through the ones that you really should be paying attention to and which ones you can kind of archive or put into the trash bin.
Prioritization of
Definitely.
stuff.
Definitely, because there's just so much, such a large school. It's just so much to do now.
Yeah, and I mean they call it analysis paralysis. It's just like there's so much going on. It's like, what do I do? You know?
Definitely.
And so obviously it's still early days, and just, you know, if I had asked you in 2019 what you'd be doing in 2020, I don't think you'd be saying sitting at home on Zoom. So there might not be a straightforward answer to this one. But what sort of career goals are you aiming towards? Is it working for a company? Is it starting your own business? What plans do you have after graduating? And how did you see USC fitting into that goal, that career goal?
All my past internships and work experience have all been gotten through leveraging like my parents and family members' connections. So something I really want to focus on now is just getting into like a large company that's has a good reputation through my own merits and my own name and my own work. So I feel like going to a school like USC definitely helps in the recruitment processes of that. They have a lot more campus recruiters, a lot more opportunities to speak with professionals and all of that. And in terms of my future goals out of college, I want to work for a more large firm just to get something on my resume that kind of proves to everyone the type of person that I am. And from there, either go into smaller companies that I'm interested in that really match up with my moral compass and actual goals. And I'm sure I'll realize those further along the line or help me get into a master's program if I see that to be fitting to my interests.
What type of person do you want to be?
I guess I just want enough time to really have a lot of connections with my friends, develop life outside of a professional environment, just start raising a family early, I guess. It's one of my big goals.
Being versatile.
Definitely.
Not to get too salesy and not to put too much pressure on you, because I know you're still a sophomore, but what's one quality or characteristic you think you would add as a new employee to a company? If you could go to a job interview and they ask you, Alan, we've seen hundreds of business administration students, exactly like you. They all studied the same stuff. They all did the same internships at accounting firms. Why should we hire you? What makes you different?
I guess I would say I get passionate about things very easily. And I find that when that happens, my interest and passion towards any given subject really becomes contagious. And whether that's in a class, in an internship, anything, I feel that's really benefited me thus far in my life. And I think that it will continue to as I go into the workforce.
That's a great answer. And I mean, I think transfer students bring a lot of that passion, right?
Definitely. They have the drive to realize their goals for sure.
100%. What did you feel made you stand out in the transfer application? Or what's a particular point that you sort of drove in the application? Was it your story? Was it a particular thing? Like, what did you sort of push for in your essays?
Yeah. I wrote a lot about how I was kind of reaching the ceiling of what I could do at my old school. So a couple of examples. At my old school, I was able to land an internship on like during the semester that was only available for upperclassmen. And then there were so many student organizations that I was just reaching the top at. And then I don't want to sound like a crabby person saying all this, but like a lot of those student organizations, what you give in, you don't really get out. Since I was in Loyola Marymount, which is not far from here, I had lots of friends at USC. I was able to sit in on some of the student organizations and see that they actually have objectives and goals. They're not just bringing in guest speakers. You just listen. It's like another class. You just listen and then go out. So getting a more well-rounded educational experience, as well as being somewhere where you really get out what you put into career development, was something I emphasized in my application, I believe.
And that makes total sense, right? Like, why would you want to be at a university that doesn't prioritize that stuff?
Exactly.
that doesn't prioritize having an objective and helping you as well.
Definitely.
What value is there in being a transfer student? I know a lot of people like to focus on the negatives, right? Oh, it's tough being a transfer student. But what do you see as the positives? What in your journey could you sort of talk about or take with you into the future?
Uh-huh. I think there is one absolutely enormous positive, and that is you see how much more valuable college is when you put a lot of effort into not only your schoolwork, but into building relationships, getting into the clubs you really want to. So I think basically for all transfer students, what you'll see is they really, although it's tough, right? They'll probably really hit the ground running. Like I know I've tried to get into as many organizations as I have been able to, just try to open as many doors as I can, because we've been through a whole college experience in terms of we went into a college and went out. So we kind of see that you really just want to open as many doors as you can. So we come into USC with that type of attitude, with that type of drive. It's a great feeling.
One thing, I mean, I pushed in my last email and that I'll probably keep pushing for the foreseeable future. I don't care if I sound like a broken record because it's true, is that we come with purpose.
Definitely.
You worked to get here. You worked hard and surprisingly, not a lot of people can say that. Sadly, not a lot of people can say, you know what, I was unhappy with my situation and so I changed it and I worked hard and now I got to where I wanted to go. Few
Yeah.
people can say that.
Definitely.
Except for transfers. Transfers have that purpose. They have that drive. And like you said, you can carry that forward with you in whatever you do.
Definitely.
And so if you could go back in time and give your younger self one tip, what would it be?
Just find mentors, honestly. That's been by far the biggest change of my experience from at USC than from my old school. Like finding mentors that are really excelling at what you want to do. That can be really anything. It could be like playing football, finding a mentor that's really excelling at school, literally getting into the internships and getting the positions you want to get. Having a relationship like that is just so mutually beneficial between you and that mentor. And it's already helped me in 2 weeks become really a transformed person in terms of how ready I am professionally and just as a man in general.
And I mean, how would you suggest to people to go about doing that, about finding a mentor?
Yeah, that's really tough because at USC there's so many like mentorship programs that you can apply to and just get that. But I know at the school I was at before there wasn't a program like that. But it can be as simple as just writing a cold LinkedIn or even Instagram message and just being like, people love to hear good things about themselves, right? So when you say, I see you got a 3.97 GPA, I see you got this internship position. This is my dream internship position. Like, could you give a couple tips? I would advise not like saying, can you become my mentor? But just asking for a few tips first. And then just while you're in that conversation about those few tips, just really, you don't even need to try. A relationship well built from that, because that's just a very productive conversation. They'll see you're driven. They'll see you're razor sharp. It's at that point, it's really up to you to just continue the building of that relationship eventually into a mentorship. Saying this with foresight, I had friends at USC, just reach out to those people because they can help you so much. Maybe not in terms of helping your application, but just getting a better idea of USC. Like by talking to my friends and learning about their experience, I was able to write a lot about what USC offered aside from the things that they say about from their websites that really showed I knew about the school and it was a perfect match for me.
For sure. And I think that's something that people can also take into their job search as well.
Definitely.
The fact that you can have intelligent conversations with people. And you've seen it, right? Just by asking smart questions and being interested in the other person, you instantly become likable and interesting.
Definitely.
Without even talking. You just sit there and say, hey, I see this, you're a great person, blah, blah, blah. And then, I have some interest, I have some questions, specific questions about this stuff. And you ask those questions. It's amazing what that can do for you. And like you said, in terms of doing research on the college, you sort of found, I want to call them insiders. And that gave you that extra edge. So you could definitely do that with a company too.
Definitely. Getting to know the culture of the company and just writing about that would just set you apart for sure.
Again, not a lot of people can do that upfront work in researching the culture. So that makes you stand out.
And yeah, thinking about it from the organization's perspective, they just want people that will fit in because people who fit in excel in their positions. So like for prospective transfer students as well as people trying to find jobs or internships, like just build these connections and find out what's under what they're saying, like on their website and on their flyers.
100%. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time.
Of course, man. Have a good one. Fight on. Yeah.
The transfer student
Transfer student
experience.
experience. The transfer